We are all connected. So join me as I talk to like-minded people about topics that are appropriate to the current times we are living in. My name is Lerato Shabalala and this is Relevant. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Relevant with me, Lerato Shabalala. I am so excited to introduce you to my next guest. But before I do, remember you can listen to the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast. But if you want to see me and this beauty in person, you can go to my YouTube channel or go to my website, leratoshabala.com, to see this interview. So here's the thing about the lady I'm about to interview. I've spoken to her before. And even before we started this interview, we had like a long 15-minute conversation just about like life. She's somebody, every time I speak to her, I feel like a part of my soul has been fed, a part of me has grown, a part of me is lifted higher. And I'm just really, really, really excited to speaking to the founder and the creative director for Africa Your Time Is Now, as well as Butter Pudding. Please help me welcome Papama Mtwisha. Hey, Papama, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And you know the feeling is mutual, right? I feel exactly the same way about you. And when we speak about, we speak to each other, it's always so real and authentic. And I only ever thrive with those kind of conversations. So thank you for being you.
Those are the conversations we live for. So I want to show you something. So you're in Cape Town now, and I was in Cape Town last week. And luckily, I got a package sent to me while I was there. And it's this.
Ah! What a cheat you are, because I couldn't see you. I thought you were.
Tell you.
Oh, Lerato.
I was so excited to get this T-shirt. I was so excited. The letter that came with it, you know, I put it on my Instagram stories. All our names were handwritten. The note, you could hear those were your words. You know, luckily I know because you have been a writer, as a fashion editor and a fashion director. So this is something that you're very used to. But the message to, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do it again. To go within or stay without. It's so important right now. And so I want to know, it's been about 6 months of us dealing with COVID-19. And for some people, the beginning was hard. For some people, the end was hard before level 1. How has it been for you? Because I'm sure this is part of the T-shirt is part of that inspiration.
Wow, and as you're talking, see, I've got goosebumps, and you know I get goosebumps, right? Not because Cape Town is Cape Town and the breeze, but I'm thinking I'm in Cape Town now. You got the T-shirt when you were in Cape Town, because I remember when you were unwrapping and unboxing, and you know things like that for me. I never lost. I am such a dot connector, as you know. Like I'm always like, it's not I don't believe in chance happenings and coincidences. I always believe that everything is, we attract and we create stuff. And if we are so deliberate and so present in every single moment, that and then things just happen. So to go back to the message, Woolworths and I started talking this time last year. Can you believe? Pre-COVID,
really?
pre-lockdown, pre-epidemic. I kid you not. This time I was in Cape Town last year having my initial meeting. What is it now? We're in October, right? Yeah, it was October, beginning of November. We had our first they called me for a meeting to say that they would like to do a collaboration, whatever. So I had carte blanche on what it was going to be about and what it was going to encapsulate. Sure. And what I do appreciate about it, because I've got a very soft spot for the business and the brand Woolworths since forever, as you know, being a fashion director for all the years, and I've been dealing with them. They gave me carte blanche and they didn't rush me. I was very clear and explicit on how I work. I don't, even in my business, I don't work according to deadlines. And I think it's part rebellion, having worked in a deadline-driven career for decades, you know. When I started my business, I knew that I wanted to do it authentically and I wanted to do it at my own pace. because then it felt a little bit more real as opposed to trying to meet a deadline, trying to meet seasons and all of that. So, and they were very okay with that. They said, go take the time to think about it, and then come back to us when you've crystallized it for yourself. And I did take the time, which is why I was saying we started having the conversation this time last year, and we only launched it last week, so literally a year later.
Amazing.
And I toured around a few ideas, and when I finally decided on the message, I had been rereading a book, which is one of my favorite books. I think I was rereading it for the fourth or fifth time. A book called Conversations with God.
Yes, by Neil Donald.
The first book I've only ever read. There's three books. Yes, Walsh. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's book one, book two, book three. I've only ever read book one, and I've reread it 4 to 5 times. And the first time I read it, it changed my life completely, my outlook on life. And then every time I reread it, it gives me life every single time. And depending on what's going on in my life, it speaks to me in a different way. So, and there's a phrase that's very similar to the statement. I can't quote it verbatim, but it speaks to the same essence that I've highlighted. Is it highlight or highlighted?
Highlighted.
Highlighted.
It's not ours.
Yes, it's not my mother tongue. Exactly. So I had highlighted, underlined and highlighted in different colors. And when it landed, it landed. I was like, this is it. Because this is the essence of this message is what changed my life, is how I have had the courage to take the leaps of faith that I've taken over the years, whether it was a career change, whether it was getting married or instigating a divorce, all of that. It was, going within, because all the answers lie there.
Indeed.
And all the answers lie there. So yeah, when the message happened, I was like, yeah, this is it. I would like to spread this message, because also on the back of the success of Africa Your Time Is Now, how Africa Your Time Is Now came about was exactly that. I did the internal work, and I went within, and I spent a lot of time there, and I knew that it was going to succeed even before we launched it. So, and I just wanted to spread that message. And I thought, what better way of spreading this message than, again, standing on a mountaintop, which is what the t-shirt is about, and having the conversations like we're having today. What does this message mean? What does it mean to you when you first read it? What did it say to you?
So I've had to go within a lot this year. I'm calling it doing the necessary emotional excavation, right? So most of us like build, and we build things on top of a very, very brittle foundation. So when everything collapses, we wonder why, because we haven't gone within. And so the emotional excavation for me has been, why do I do the things that I do? What are my patterns? And how can I be a better me? Because when you're happy with yourself, you're able to make somebody else happy. It is not another person's responsibility to make you happy. And if you find yourself unhappy, then you have to go within. Then you have to find out why you're not. If you don't like your job for whatever reason, why don't you like it? What's happening within you? And the more I go within, I attack less, I blame less, and I defend myself less. And that is crucial to being happy, because even if another person attacks you, you are able, or you feel like life is being unfair to you, you're able to say, actually, life wants you to thrive. God wants you to be happy. The universe is abundant and it has blessed me and everything is good. So the things that I've stayed without are the things that I don't need, because I've managed to go within. But and it's a continual process. I'm a work in progress. So I'm never going to get to the destination and feel like, oh my God, like I'm a guru. But I feel closer now to myself. I feel like I'm being introduced to myself, which is really interesting when you're 40 and you feel like you're meeting yourself. So that's what it meant for me. And to get it while I was in Cape Town, and we were talking just before we came on that I lived in Cape Town 20 years ago, and I was 20. and to come back around about the same time when you're 40 and so much has happened. You've lost so many things, so many people during a pandemic. And the first time traveling outside of Joburg was just uh, amazing. And I think what you have done to show that fashion extends is amazing. So how has your mental state been during this time? What are some of the things you have been doing to get your joy? Because you love to travel and we couldn't go nowhere. So how have you been keeping your joy?
That's actually the very reason why I landed on that message, that because we all have it. We all have the answers, our own individual answers, our own specific answers specific to our lives and our journeys and our purpose on this planet all lie within. And I think also we've been conditioned, and I speak for myself, where we need to look outward because that's where the answers lie. But we're always left wanting when we look outward, because then I'm asking Lerato for her opinion, and then it makes sense temporarily, and then I ask someone else, then it conflicts with something else, and I'm left confused. Exactly. But then if I can just quieten the noise, with all due respect, quieten the noise and just go deep within, and how you know that it is an answer specific to you is the feeling that you get after you ponder upon a certain a certain circumstance or situation. When you have a feeling of peace, when afterwards, then you kind of go, it might necessarily be the perfect answer, but it might be the right answer at that time to take you to the next step. And that's how I've been living my life. So earlier on you were asking me how I've kind of survived this crazy time that everyone's been faced with. And yeah, and to frame the answer I'm about to give you, it's not to say that I wasn't affected. As you know, my business is based on the continent at home, but it has a footprint all over the world. So we had a whole plan, whether via launches, distribution, and we have a distribution footprint that's quite wide. And we had orders cancelled, we had launches cancelled, we had you name it. So financially we're affected. It's not like we were, cushioned and protected.
Yeah.
But even though I still had that peace, I couldn't even fake the anxiety, Lerato. When I was speaking to my friends who were rightfully anxious because some of my dear friends lost jobs. Some of them have had to move back home, slash the salary, everything that's happened to, the most of us.
Else,
and I couldn't even fake the anxiety, even Mina myself, when I was thinking, is what's going to happen? What's happening next? But I literally spent a bulk of the time in the garden, which is generally where I find my peace in nature. Yeah. I spent it with my girls and we had endless picnics because the lockdown started. We had just come back. We literally, March on the 24th, because we landed on the day. We had been on a family holiday in Mauritius and we literally just made it. And then it was still a bit warm. So it was just as we were about to get into autumn. So the weather was beautiful. And and I spent a lot of time going within and trying to quieten the noise because people were so scared, people were anxious, people didn't know what was, and rightfully so, because there was a lot of uncertainty that was going on. So I needed to go within even more than ever so that I could protect my sanity, I could protect my source, the source that gives me peace through weird situations. And it really did work. It really did work. So that's how I spent my time. And even when we were going through the lockdown, I chose to look on the positive side of it.
Yep.
So as I said earlier on, it's not to say that my business was thriving and I wasn't affected. I was directly affected, but I still chose to look at the positive of what was going on. And it really helped me. It really, really did help me. And so that's how I spent.
So you say something that's very interesting, right? Because I also decided to launch Relevant during this time. And a lot of people were like, you're launching things at a time when people can't even fathom how the next day is going to be. And I went through exactly what you went through. I was like, okay, you have been dealt lemons, okay? And what are you going to do when you've been dealt lemons? Sometimes you make lemonade. Sometimes you make sure they use the lemons for tequila. You know what I mean? I had to find ways to not only stay positive, so I've been reading A Course in Miracles, and it's just been very helpful. Every time I come to it, it tells me something that I need to hear. So I decided to actually look for the positive things. But now I want to ask you this, because other people went through this. And most people, when you say don't focus on the money, and you've always said this, you've always said find something that you love, and because money shouldn't be the only motivator. Yes, money's nice when you get it, but find something that you enjoy. And you found something that you enjoy, and you still got affected from a monetary perspective. How did you divorce yourself from the money? Because a lot of us, particularly people of color, we focus on, I don't have the money, when am I going to pay the next thing? So you live in lack. And as you know, the universe, when you live in lack, it just brings it back to you, because you're just communicating, I don't have. And it's like, okay, well, you don't have. Whereas when you decide to flip it, and you see how blessed you are to have your two girls, to still have clients who are interested, who are like, okay, Papama, as soon as everything opens, we're ready. How does, and not just for you, so how can somebody steady their mind when they're feeling like, because everywhere around the world, not everywhere, but like places like London and spaces in Europe are going back into level 5 of lockdown. So
Yes,
we're going to
especially.
ride this thing out for a while. So in your mind, what did you do? What is the shift that we all need to make to stop focusing on lacking and not having, and just look at the things we do have?
It's a very valid question. And for me, I went back to the truth, the intrinsic truth that I know, which is that the thoughts we think help determine the direction of our lives.
Yes.
That is the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
It's not even my truth, it is a
It's
fact
a
of life.
universal truth.
So there is no way, yeah, there's no way we can dwell on defeat and expect to see and experience victory. It doesn't work like that.
No.
So, and once you know that truth, you can't unknow it, no matter the circumstances.
Yep.
And I speak like this not because I'm someone who has a perfect life. My life is real. I've got situations that happen, but every single time I choose to focus on the positive, because there's always positives happening. Like, and it's often the simplest of things, like what you've just said. The fact that I've got my two beautiful girls that are healthy, we've got a roof over our head, we are alive. Something as basic as that we're breathing, because not everyone has that opportunity. Not everyone is guaranteed the next day, and many others. So, and then the minute you start focusing on the simplest of positives that are going well, it's incredible how you then start.
No.
The list just gets longer. The fact that I've got parents that love me, I've got a family that supports me, I've got, the list just got longer and longer. So as we think thoughts of victory, Larato, we will experience the strength to overcome any obstacle, no matter how small, no matter how big. That's how it works. It's guaranteed. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're old, whether there's no one who's exempt from this. So when I speak the truth, I speak the truth that's applicable to all of us. So I just remember the truth that lives within me. I just go back to that, because as I said earlier on, that's where the answers lie. So that's how I get through any situations, whether it's an epidemic, whether it's a personal something, whether it's a loss of someone dear, whether it's societal, socio-economic stuff that affects us. I had an interview during the Black Lives Matter
sort of
that's
uprising, yeah,
when it was happening, and one of the questions was around what my take was on that. And as someone who has been a target of racism when I was younger, and it still happens now, I choose not to dwell on that and see the negatives of that, because for me, anyone who's going to try and suppress someone based on the color of their skin, based on their class or anything like that, has a problem themselves. So that's how I choose to look at it. If you're going to find strength and power in stepping on someone and making sure someone feels, or to belittle them, then something's wrong with you. And I also always have seen the bigger scourge that's called racism as the biggest distraction.
yeah,
This is why Africa is was first.
distraction, yeah.
Exactly. where they're trying to make us lose focus on what we should be focusing about and on. So I always choose, and it's a very deliberate move, any given time, to always choose to focus on the positive aspects of any situation. That's how I get through this life thing.
And can I tell you what I have learned, which is one of the most difficult things that we can do when we decide that this is our journey? Because remember, it's a decision. You have to make a decision to be positive. Being positive is not a pill that you take and suddenly everything is great. You make a decision, which then changes
Every day, Rato. Every day. You don't make it once and then you think, because you get tested all the time.
Exactly.
The universe, whatever you believe in, will throw tests on your path every single time to always make sure, you remember who you are.
Exactly. And like, because you are making that decision, it's also important to have people around you that help that be fertile ground. So if you are going to try and be positive and there is somebody in your life who is not, they drag you down. That is what I have found. You realize, oh, I need more people who are positive because that's how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? I think like that's why our circle is so important, because our circle says, Timothy Marie said, if you want to know where you're going, look at your friends. And he was right. Look at the people around you, because they kind of tell you where you're going. So July last year, you signed a deal with Bloomingdale's. We were all very excited. I was one of the people that was shouting about it. As you know, I've always been a fan. And July this year, you are now in Paris. I think it's L'Exception. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly.
L'exception.
En L'Exception, oui, oui. And so, how do you manage to pull a deal together during a time when people are losing houses, jobs? Like, how does that happen? You seem to, and I know it's obviously you having a positive outlook, but how did that deal happen? Because now you're in Europe, you're in Kenya, you're in Lagos, you're in the States, you're doing exactly what you said, which is showing people that the time for Africa is now.
Yeah. And a goal from South Africa can happen. They can make it happen.
Exactly.
And the deal, we started working on the deal. I was in Paris in September last year during Fashion Week, during the showrooms. So I've got an agent, an amazing agent, Emmanuel Courage, who believes in the journey, believes in the vision that we're about. And we, as Africa Times now, we're part of the showroom where buyers from all over the world come and view the collection, and we tell them about it. So we met the team from L'Exception then in September last year, because obviously to get into a big store, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest concept store in France, in Paris. It doesn't just happen overnight. So it's a conversation that we had, and they were wowed from the get-go when we had the conversation about what we stand for and what their plans and they believe in doing their bit to help the mother continent, because we are the source.
Yes, we are.
Everyone's best interest for Africa to be okay. Yep. I know it sounds counterintuitive for a lot of people that thrive on power and, but it's in everyone's best interest for Africa to be okay. And this is a team that believes that and doing their little bit, because I think it's also it's such a mammoth task to get Africa where it belongs to, because we've had a long time of not being where we need to be. Exactly. So people often feel overwhelmed, like, where do we start? But if everyone just does their little bit, like us having this conversation where people will, what we're saying will land with the right people that then inspires them to start whatever they're doing or change their outlook on whatever. Exactly. Everyone's bit counts. No matter, you don't have to be a president, you don't have to be a prime minister to make a difference. Can be a normal person like you and I who can make a difference. So we started having the conversation, and in September, that's the easy and short answer to that. And then it's been and then the logistical side of it takes the longest, where they put the order in, and then the production time, then the shipping time, and then by July, and that was also a sheer coincidence that in July it happens that we in France, in Paris. And that was one of the launches. We're supposed to have had a big launch party where I was making a speech in July, but obviously we couldn't travel and we've postponed it to next year. And yeah, they've really been so authentic in it wasn't just a business transaction with them, because we've got front and center in their store, which is also beautifully placed. It's in the first arrondissement in Paris. And yeah, window display, it's a shop in shop, and they've bought the whole collection. So it's not just the t-shirt, it's from jumpsuits, kimono, all of it, sweaters. So, and then on the online presence, it's really been amazing. And for us, it's not just being validated, the fact that we're in Paris, it's the fact that the message can get to way more people.
Exactly.
You know, because they then give access to other people that, because logistically that we wouldn't necessarily get to, because they've got a much wider network. And that's why I celebrate the little wins. It's not necessarily from, oh yeah, we think, you know, because Paris is better. No, it's the fact that we can actually spread this message even further with the help of the people that are established that side.
Exactly. And
because on the back of that,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
We then yeah, so on the back of that, we are now about to get into Germany, Austria.
Wow.
We've just shipped Switzerland. So it's every little bit counts. And then soon to be going to Senegal. And yeah, just spreading this message, because I don't know if you remember from our long time interviews that when I started the business, the mandate was very clear. It wasn't about making money necessarily. It wasn't about a fashion brand. We were in the business of spreading this message. Yes, it lives via the vehicle is fashion, but the mandate is very clear. It's about us spreading this message, and that governs every decision that we take as a business, whether we want to do this or get into business with these people or not. Is this going to help the core mandate of what we're about? So yeah, it's really been a fantastic year. Even with its challenges, it's been a really, really great year. Yeah, because I choose for it to be.
I was about to say the same thing, because you make the daily choice. You don't make the once-off choice. You don't make the, it's the season of, you know, abundance. And so when, you know, there's a drought, you're like, I will never. We have seasons in life, and that's there for a reason. And I was going to say also, you know, we are part of the diaspora, and there are a lot of people in all over the world, including Paris, who come from the DRC, who come from Senegal, who speak French. You know what I mean? I'm very lucky enough to have been on a fellowship with people all over the continent, and I know that we are everywhere. And so you want to see yourself be like, oh my God, Africa, your time is now in Paris? Geez, I'm buying this. Even if they don't know you, because ultimately it's not about the fact that they have to know you. It's about the fact that what you believe in is something that they can wear, because it's something that they believe in as well. And I remember we were at a function. I still have the photo. It was you, me, Kojo, and Sheena. We were at some restaurant. I can't remember what it was for. And you said, yes, Loretta, I'm thinking of starting this business. Do you think I should do it? I was like, Papama, dude, good name is this magazine.
I was still employed then.
We were both employed. Yes. And I was like, listen, good name is this magazine situation. And what's the worst that could happen, right? Is that 5 people buy the t-shirt and nothing happens. What I loved about you is that less than 3 months later, after the conversation, you were out there. And so you said something in an interview that was interesting. You said, the thing about it is just that you have to start. You shouldn't wait for the perfect moment. When did you get to that realization that, you know what, if I keep waiting for the moment will never come. The moment is now.
Oh, wow. Yes, that's it. Because for me, I had, it was a business plan that had been living on my iPad for 7 years, where I started writing it and I would perfect it, and I would take some stuff, then it would grow, then I would take some stuff out and add, and then it morphed. And the reason it took 7 years, Larato, is that it was so big. The dream was so big. Yes. And because I didn't have the funds, I didn't know where to start. I was just like, where am I going to get the millions to start, make my dreams come true? And then I think I read a book I can't even remember what it was about, but it spoke to me, because you know when that saying that says when the student is ready,
The teacher,
what is it?
yes. When the student
The
is
teacher
ready,
appears.
the
So the
teacher
book
appears.
landed on my lap, and it was talking about how it's so prudent, you know, when you've got a big idea, divide it into bite-sized chunks. Just subdivide it and see where you can start. And that's exactly, I was so ready for that message. That's exactly what I did. I was just like, oh, okay. Because the reason why I took so long was that I was like, yo, I don't know where to start. And I started focusing on all the negatives and the obstacles, lack of funds, lack of knowledge and taking, because I'd never started a business before. And time, because I just had my second baby and I was still employed full time. And I was like, yo, no, ngizoqala kuphi? And then, yeah, I just started. I just decided to start a little bit with butter pudding.
Yes.
And it started showing up authentically every single day. And the doors just opened. The doors literally just opened. And I want to bore you with the journey of how the doors just started opening. But yeah, that's what happened. And I've never looked back. We're celebrating 5 years on the 25th of November.
Wow.
But it feels like I've been at it for a very, very long time.
I can just imagine. Can I ask, what is the thing that surprises you the most um, about your about Africa Time is now, as well as butter pudding? What is the thing that makes you go, wow, this? Like, what has surprised you the most about, um, and from anything, from whether it's people who wear it, or how it makes people feel, or how much it's gained traction around the world, but what has just surprised you?
All of it. The pace at which it's grown I don't get used to that, and just the impact and the effect that it's had on people, and people taking the time out to share and share the feedback. You know, people send us emails all the time. They send us pictures. People have worn the T-shirt to their wedding, you know, with beautiful books. People have worn it to launches in beautiful places all over the world. People have bought them as gifts to their loved ones, because, you know, the bulk of our customers will say, oh, I've got to buy a gift, but this person's got everything. I don't even know what to buy them. This is the perfect T-shirt. Yeah. It's affordable, but we know that the message will resonate, and it will make sense for them. And that warms my heart, because it's not necessarily about the monetary value something is attached to. It's about what it means and what it stands for. And I definitely think that it's the energy that's put behind the business, and the heart. I've got an amazing team. It's a very, very small team, and and it's also by design, to keep the business lean and mean, because I know myself. I'm not trying to have a massive operation, because I don't have the bandwidth for that. But then we've got suppliers that have mammoths. So that's how we then keep people employed, is that we deliberately work with suppliers that are big and employ the right people that we want to empower. So from the manufacturing perspective to logistics to, you know, every single aspect of the business. So yeah, there's way too many to count, Lerato, and everything you've said, and so many more incidents. And the feeling doesn't get stale.
Yeah.
You know, every single something where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why I do what I do. This is why I do what I do every single day.
I mean, I can just imagine when we all saw Naomi Campbell wearing the T-shirt by the beach. I was like, oh my god! And obviously, I was just so thrilled. I know I have to let you go, but I want to ask you, um, sort of two questions in one. One is professionally, um, what's there to come for you? I mean, what I laughed because you said in an interview that if you weren't doing fashion, you do music. You know, you've been.
Oh, you've got such a good memory. True, I still stand for that.
Really?
Love music, my second love.
And haven't you styled some award-winning music videos? I was actually going to ask.
Oh yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to do that. I used to work for Sony, and I was the resident stylist. And I actually remember the other day that once upon a time, I used to be in charge of the uniforms for Joy Celebration. I'd forgotten about that until I watched the DVD. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to dress them. The band, the musicians, the solo artists for years. And I was so young then. I don't know how. It's such a big production, but I did it for a long time. And obviously, Mafikizolo, when Mafikizolo started as a band, I was the stylist that kind of built the image, and many others, many others.
Wow. See,
I used to style Jam Alley. I used to work on Jam Alley.
no
A colleague of mine
way.
reminded me. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I used to be in charge of wardrobe for Jam Alley. I've been working for 20 years.
I know.
So, and some of the stuff I've done, I've forgotten.
We have been around. We have been around. So like that's the thing for me is, what do you want to do that you have not done that you still feel like that I want to do? And then on a personal level, um, raising girls, being a single mom, and really being a businesswoman, trying to juggle. What are some of the lessons you are hoping that they're getting from you? Because obviously the pandemic allowed us to be together, which is great when you're a working mom, but you were traveling quite often before this time. So what are you hoping your girls get from watching you, and what have you done, what have you not done professionally that you would like to do? Because I believe both Butter Pudding and Africa Your Time is now have amazing strides to still do. There's so much you can do, but and I know you dream big. That's why I love you. Like your dreams are like big.
Yeah. For me, I think to answer the first bit of the question is I want my girls to watch firsthand because they've been there every step of the way. From Kwezi, my eldest daughter, being the model when I launched Butter Pudding. So she was there. She was 4. She was the face of, because she was the big inspiration behind me starting the brand, and her having watched. She's now 9 and super wise, and having watched where we started, because I don't spare them from the ups and downs of business, obviously in an age appropriate way, for them to see what's possible if you dream, what is achievable and what's possible. And I hear the way they speak, because they both go to very conscious schools that are not mainstream, and what they want to be when they grow up, because they've seen mommy do it. So my kids have such massive dreams, and they are not just locally bound. They are big, as the world is their oyster. And I do travel a lot, and I used to feel so guilty about it, so guilty about it, because I'm such a hands-on mom. But I nipped that in the bud, because I realized that I do it because it's work, and it's important for them to watch and not learn about it in textbook. What it takes to build a business. They know that mommy loves them, but they know that if mommy doesn't work, then we don't eat. It's that simple. So also ingraining from a very young age the concept of nothing comes on a silver platter. You work hard and then you'll be rewarded. You work hard and smart, you'll be rewarded. And I say smart because we don't believe in weekends. Like, we don't live for weekends at home. So Tuesday we'll have a picnic in the garden, so there's no, today's Friday, therefore we'll do A, B, and C. Every day is a good day to do anything you want to do. So I love the fact that they watch it firsthand at home, and I know that they'll dream even bigger than what I dream. Yep. So, and as far as the business is concerned, the plans are so vast. There's a whole rollout plan for both brands. And also, we haven't even scratched the surface. The world is so big. And as you said earlier on, is that the African people everywhere. So it's about fostering the relationships so that we can, and the collaborations, in order to make this movement even bigger and expand on where we started via, like a collaboration with Nelson Makamo, which is something we've been talking about for so long. But because him and I are like-minded, we know that at the perfect time it will happen. Exactly. And it will come to fruition. So that's definitely something in the pipeline. and a whole host of other things.
I'm excited on everybody else's behalf, just hearing that. I want to jump up and down.
I think I'm just putting under pressure now as well, because I've just put it out there. But yeah, we've been talking about it for the past few years, and we know that at the right time it will happen beautifully.
That's what everything is about. What I loved about your first answer also is that we cannot pour into others when we do not pour into ourselves. And as women, we're taught to be selfless and forgetting that a self cannot give if a self is not fulfilled. So what you're teaching your daughters is pour into yourself, because when you are full, you are able to pour into others. And I think like young girls need to see us working, struggle. They need to see us thriving. They need to see us trying to figure it out. And you are all of that. You are what Maya Angelou would say. She would say, you are a daughter in whom God is pleased. And that's what I think of when I think of you. You are a daughter in whom God is pleased. You have taken fashion and you have made it not only art, but you have made it a mission statement for every person of color, for every Black person, for every African person, whether, as you've often said in your interview, whether they are African by birth or African by design, because they choose by state of mind. And so I want to thank you, Papama, for everything that you have done for us as Black people, for us as women, and for us as African people. And I pray, and I know the universe will guide you to your highest calling. I mean, you're nearly there, but I feel like you're on the precipice of just doing something even bigger than any of us think. And I know God's dream for you is bigger than the dream you have for yourself. I also pray on the lives of your children and your family, that they are protected and that they are raised to celebrate your legacy. Thank you for being you. Thank you for everything that you have done. You are really your national treasure. Thank you, Papama. Siyabonga magwande.
Thank you, Lerato. Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say to that. Thank you so much. And I receive every single syllable, every word that you've just uttered. I receive it and I give some back to you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being consistently supportive of me as a human being and also as a business in many ways. I really do appreciate this, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Papama. Yes, Africa Your Time is now on Instagram. Visit them, as well as Butter Pudding. Like, follow, share. I've bought from my godchildren all over the world. So thank you, Papama. Be blessed.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.